Hello, fellow Australians. My name is Sanjeev Sabhlok. I worked for 20 years in Victorian government departments, including as an economist in the Victorian Department of Treasury and Finance for 15 years. But I resigned on 9 September 2020 to protest the police state and the lies of the Daniel Andrews government. In my 16 September 22 article in the Australian Financial Review, I reported that this pandemic is nowhere in the league of the Spanish flu. And I also reported that the governments are not following the risk-based approach that is mandated by the laws and is necessary for all public policy. Later, while writing my book, The Great Hysteria and the Broken State, and the book is somewhere here. So there's the book. I found that Victoria had breached its own pandemic plan of 10 March 2020. So we had a plan just before the pandemic, the lockdowns were started, and we breached that plan almost completely. We didn't follow it in any single way. In writing a complaint to the International Criminal Court, which I sent in November 2020, about the crimes against humanity being perpetrated in Australia in the name of public health, I found innumerable breaches of the laws of the Australia's constitution and international covenants that protect human rights. So we basically created what I call crimes against humanity under the Rome Statute. So have a read of my complaint, which is 68,000 words. During this period, I was interviewed widely on television and also wrote further articles, including in the Australian and the Spectator. But none of my writings and commentary in the media seemed to penetrate the thick wall of totalitarianism that had formed around both the federal and the state governments. So it's not just Daniel Andrews, it was actually Scott Morrison himself. During this period, in January 2021, I co-signed an open letter to the ASIO, our intelligence agency of Australia, on the role of the Chinese Communist Party in creating the hysteria that had led to the lockdowns, which were actually invented personally by Xi Jinping, the president of China. And I've confirmed this from numerous independent sources. This pandemic is very clearly, in fact, former Prime Minister Tony Abbott pointed this out on 8 December 2020 in a international conference in which I was also participating along with him. He basically said that this is at worst in the range of the Hong Kong flu. He actually said something very important. And remember, he was the former Prime Minister. He said we cannot have another year like the year we've just lived through, which has been corrosive of the human spirit, destructive of human liberties, and disastrous for prosperity. Absolutely catastrophic. So this is our former Prime Minister, telling us that our current governments, including the ones led by Scott Morrison, have created an absolutely catastrophic situation in this country. But this was not hard enough. I'll come to that. Anyway, none of this had any effect on public policy, so I then determined to directly enter the political field. In the last 2 months, I have decided I will contest the seat of Menzies, my local seat. The Liberal and Labour parties of Australia have run Australia into a ditch in 2020 and are determined that we will commit suicide as a nation. So now my goal is not just to contest my own seat, but much broader. I want to work with like-minded people and ask the people of Australia to wipe out these two Liberal and Labour parties from Australia's political landscape, given the catastrophic harms that they have caused. I invite, in fact, Tony Abbott to join me in wiping out the Liberal Party to which he once belonged. After extensive exploration of political options during February and March 2021, it became clear to me that we do need a new political party, a completely different type of political party. And therefore, under Peter Harris's vision and support from many others, I have helped to co-found the Australia's Representatives, a party that will contest the forthcoming federal elections in collaboration with like-minded parties, including the Informed Medical Options Party and hopefully many others in the coming weeks or months. I invite all political parties to join hands together because we cannot afford to let these Liberal and Labour Party leaders come back and govern us in the next period of federal parliament. We must try to form government ourselves. This party is radically different to other parties of Australia. We are committed to reviving the defunct democracy of Australia. Conscious voting by the elected members of Australia's representatives is the signature feature of our new party. Our candidates will also sign a public pact to serve the best interests of their community. We are committed to not only listening to our constituents, but to responding to them. And we are committed to being fully accountable to the electorate. We have all had it to our neck with the way we have been treated by our parliamentarians in 2020. For example, when I requested my local Victorian member of the parliament, Matthew Guy of the Liberal Party, to raise a question in Victoria's parliament asking for evidence from the government for the Chief Health Officer's directive to wear masks outdoors, Matthew Guy blocked me on Twitter. A few weeks later, Victoria's Chief Health Officer blocked me as well. Such is our system of democracy today in Australia. We will not have this kind of thing in the future. We want a different system. Australia's representative is designed as a platform to enable new, honest citizens, often without any prior political interests, people like me, to step forward to contest elections so that we can defeat the forces that are threatening to undo hundreds of years of hard-fought battles for freedom in the West. This is a very exciting party that harks back to the foundations of democracy. While our party will provide a values-based filter and a principles-based filter over any policy proposals, we will not prematurely rule out any policy ideas that are otherwise consistent with the basic values of the party, including liberty. There's much more to say about the party, but in this introductory message, all I want to do is to invite you to study our party. Please visit our website, interact with our founders and leaders, and join if you're persuaded about our value proposition, so that together we can defeat the forces that are threatening to destroy liberty and democracy in Australia. Thank you for listening to this short introductory message, and I invite you to join our party. Thank you. Bye.